What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. Today, we're going to be reviewing the Who Tommy movie review. Tommy,
Right,
yes. So we're going to be reviewing Tommy today. I know you guys have been waiting for this review for a very long time because you guys have been wanting us to watch Tommy. And we just watched it, and we're about to review it for you guys today.
Yeah, this is a really special review for us because on the music channel, I mean, we really we've learned so much about. You can see our music channel. We'll put the link in the description. It's also in the channel section of this channel. But in our music, man, we learned so much about different music. And I remember when they first mentioned Tommy to us, and we were like, Tommy. They were like, yeah, it's a concept album. You got to see. You know, they got a movie.
Yeah.
Because I think we had been talking about Pink Floyd, The Wall. And they were like, you got to see Tommy. And we were like, okay. I remember when they said you need react to Pinball Wizard.
Yup.
And you remember what else they never did?
What was that?
They never asked us to react to any other song on Tommy.
I don't remember them ever saying one in the comment
And there's
section.
a lot of Who. We have quite a bit of Who on our channel.
We do.
And
there's a lot of songs on Tommy. There's Sensation.
We got all the
and there's
bangers.
Go
We got
to the Mirror.
Bubba O'Reilly.
Yeah.
Nobody mentioned other songs on Tommy. So
Very interesting.
for this review, you need to know we never had heard any of the other songs on
Tommy
Tommy at all. Not one.
No.
We had no idea what the sound was going to be like except for
Pinball Wizard.
the 70s Who. Bubba
Yeah.
O'Reilly.
I mean,
Don't Get Fooled Again.
The only song we knew was Pinball Wizard. And
Yeah.
so we knew nothing about the movie, so we went in blind.
So understanding how someone would see this movie, I think there's two types of people. There's a person who knows the album, had the album whenever it came out, and then saw the movie and knew all the songs. And then there's a person who went to see it who never heard any songs at all and only saw it fresh. And then there's the people like us, way in the future, who watch a vintage film like this and give their reaction. So we're both. We never heard any of the other songs, and we haven't ever seen it. So let's start out with what were some of the. We're not going to go through the movie as a concept film. Has so much imagery, so many different scenes in it. There's no way we could go through each one
After one viewing.
No, and the review would be as longer than the movie. So let's just start out with what did you like? What were some memorable scenes for you?
All right, some memorable scenes. Well, yeah, the memorable scenes I'd say for me, man, I would say that Tina Turner song was definitely a highlight in the movie.
Yeah.
Tina Turner went crazy on her song. Probably the best song in the whole movie, I think. And the imagery during her part was crazy. I mean, he was in that machine, and it was just. I mean, it was crazy. It was just, and there was flash. I had to look away because it was flashing so much, that robot.
Yeah.
That, and they did it for like 10 or 15 seconds. I was like, all right, I gotta look away.
Yeah, they didn't have that epilepsy warning that they have now in video games. They were just bro, if you got epilepsy, you about to have a seizure. We're flashing this stuff a lot.
Yeah, you gotta look away.
Yeah.
So watch at your own risk if you have epilepsy. But
yeah.
That was a great scene. And man, the Who's singer, I mean, he did a really good job acting. I mean, he did a lot of acting. He had a lot of I mean, I'm not gonna say a lot of screen time. Every scene had him.
He looked very similar to Robert Plant through the whole film.
He did look. Well, no, Robert Plant looked similar to him.
Yeah,
true. You gotta.
That's
but,
true.
But this is the 70s, and so maybe he didn't look like that in 69.
Right. That's true. That's true.
But definitely he looked like Robert Plant the whole movie.
Yeah.
Another scene I would say is the very end is a great scene as well. I mean, with all the pinballs around.
Yeah.
Elton John's scene is cool. There's a lot of really cool stuff in it. The Marilyn Monroe church kind of.
That was a wild scene. Yes. Yeah.
That was really cool. I can't remember the songs that are playing over all these parts, but I mean, that's memorable.
Well, we can
stuff.
remember enough to say the Christmas song, and people who know this can remember, or they'll know the song in it. But I think some of the memorable scenes. I think the film has a really strong beginning. The memorable scene, the dad scenes at the beginning,
and the war happening.
That felt really like, okay, we're really having a story told to us about a dad, and and him being taken from the child, and then the stepdad entering. Those scenes were were really visual and were really giving you the background story for Tommy. They stood out to me a lot, and then his emptiness of losing his dad, and then the stepdad coming in, who he really, they really didn't make him mean. They just made him incapable of being a good dad, and they really talked about that a lot. Like the parents were constantly saying things like, "Should we do this? Is it okay to do this? Should we do that?" And that kind of thing.
Yeah, and when he caught his parents doing something in their bedroom, he was never the same after that.
He got scarred hardcore.
I guess that scarred him so bad that he
went deaf.
Did he actually become deaf and blind?
Yeah, because the whole movie he can't see. He's walking around.
I mean,
deaf and blind and can't speak.
But he was walking though, like he would walk through a doorway, But there's things like that. But I guess he's still blind. But it's all good, I guess.
I'll come back to those concepts, but the memorable scene, the Acid Queen scene, is definitely memorable. No one told us that Tina Turner was going to be in this film,
or Jack Nicholson.
So we were completely like, "What? Yeah. Tina Turner's in here?" And then we were like, "Jack Nicholson is in this film?"
Yeah, we knew Elton was in it, but we didn't know.
Yeah, we did know Elton John was in it.
Man, what do you think about Jack Nicholson's scene?
His singing?
No, I said scene. But also singing.
I liked this scene. I liked it a lot. I thought he was. I thought
it was pretty cool.
He was Jack Nicholson. I thought he was cool.
That dude had that big what's it called? Clockwork Orange looking robot thing on his head. You know what I'm talking about? The eye peeling thing.
Yeah, they did.
But it wasn't really that though. But Jack Nicholson did good. He was this was before everything he was in.
We don't know
all his bangers.
We don't know what year that it was. It had to be before he did Chinatown.
Well, no, this is 75.
Yeah, but they probably filmed it in like 73 or something.
I guess.
I think they must have got. But how did he get involved with a British?
Yeah, and how did he start singing? Because I don't know too many other songs or movies where he's singing.
I can understand Elton John and Tina Turner.
But Jack?
I can't understand how Jack got in there. If you guys know, tell us, how did he end up in the film?
Yeah, I don't know.
So those scenes were really memorable. Now, so the things that I liked about the film were, I liked the concept of, early childhood really affecting your whole life, or traumatic events shattering your personality into different pieces, or being brought up in an unloving environment where you don't understand why, you're not being treated like a son, but you don't know how to articulate that at all. You just know that this man is trying, but he ain't doing too good. I like that. And of course, in the 70s, there was a lot of divorces, and I'm sure a lot of people could relate to that. And then the concept of the mirror and actualizing yourself or going through the mirror, and I liked all those concepts. What did you like besides particular scenes?
I like the overall concept as well. I like the sets were very good. The very end with all those pinballs everywhere. I mean, dude, that's a large set. I mean, that was massive.
Yeah.
The costumes were great as well.
Yeah.
When the mom was in that room and all that just crap came out the TV,
beans, right?
That's a really cool scene. I mean, there's not too many movies where they mess up the entire set like that.
One take maybe.
Yeah, that had to be one take. And
that's another thing.
And then it just out of nowhere goes back to normal. And she's just tripping. And remember, she was tripping. It was all in her head. So that was really cool. Yeah. That was another really good scene as well.
That actress, she brought it.
She did really good.
She did more than anybody in a way, because she starts off beautiful and romantic. She goes through hysteria, and then she ends up older. And their makeups, they do a good job.
She sings the most out of anyone. No one sings more than the mom, I don't think. Yeah. Tommy doesn't say a word, so no one sings more than. I mean, he does later. Yeah. But for most of the movie, he doesn't talk.
Everybody's getting a chance to sing almost.
Yeah. So really, the mom sings the most in the whole movie,
That's
and
true.
she's kind of almost the main character, really.
She was probably like a decorated actress.
Yeah, I mean, she was singing, acting.
Yeah,
had way more lines than Tommy. So I mean, technically, she was kind of the star of the movie almost, because she was in every scene, really.
She was.
She did a great job.
Yeah.
So the stepdad, he was, he did his thing, but he wasn't on the mom's level of acting. He was just kind of,
He did the best. He probably did what they directed him to do. It's almost like they didn't make him mean enough.
Yeah,
but
he's
then
kind
they
of
didn't make him
forgettable.
nice enough.
He's just kind of doesn't have a trait that defines him.
Yeah,
He's just kind of a dude.
yeah, and I don't think being a dude was quite menacing enough. Just a dude that drinks and maybe looks at other women once in a while. That wasn't enough to shatter Tommy's personality into oblivion.
He gave Tommy over to Tina. I guess that was something, but that was after he had already been traumatized. So.
I guess the area where you could really see where the stepdad fails is the Uncle Earl. And allowing him to be with the bully. They kept putting him in positions where he would be
Uncle
victimized.
Earl, the guy, when they left him with them.
They were like, "Should we leave him?" Yeah, whatever's happening there is horrible.
Did you know that's the drummer? I'm pretty sure that's a member of the band.
Playing Uncle Earl?
I think it's the drummer, but it might be somebody else. But it's
when
it's
the
a
screen
member
goes
of the
black,
band.
you know that they are trying to deal with some dark subjects.
Yeah,
and then what was it? The bully scene of him being bullied. I mean, dude, I like that they went for it, right? They went for it, and
they held nothing back.
And this is the first rock opera. They really didn't have any kind of blueprint to go by, and that's in the areas that I don't like. It's because they didn't have anyone to learn from. So, what are some things like that? I'll start with. We'll probably go back and forth on some things we didn't like, but like one of the things I didn't like is no one told me, like, having heard of all the Who's, us reacting to the Who's bangers, I was very jarred by the music and how 60s it is. I mean, people say this is a 70s film. This is an early 60s music. I mean, not early. This is probably like a 67, 68 musical sound. Because it came out in 69, and it had, like, bro, the music...
It's very different. It's very different because something I noticed listening to it is that the music, like, I mean, it's very weird. There's not much bass really. There's not much electric.
No bass.
There's not much electric guitar. No bass. Kind of like this right here.
Yeah. Very treble.
The electric guitar is not that. Never stands out. Never does anything.
No.
Like. On the Who's level of Quadrophenia,
right, of course.
Anything else, stuff later in their careers.
Yeah. What about the
also,
lyrics? Yeah,
the lyrics. Yeah, they don't. The cadence just is kind of weird, is off, and they don't rhyme ever. Like the lyrics hardly ever rhyme. Like really listen to it. The lyrics, there might be one rhyme in a whole song. Like they purposefully don't make it rhyme. So that was obviously a choice they made. And it's just very weird, and it's very it was very jarring watching the movie like that, because I was expecting it to be a bunch of pinball wizards, really, by all the hype around the movie. Before we saw it, I was expecting more pinball wizards.
I was expecting more,
but I will say the drummer was spazzing out pretty much every song. I mean, he was going crazy.
The drummer,
I see why Neil Peart thinks he's the GOAT of all time.
Yeah. Almost every song you hear, even if you don't like the sounds, the lack of rhyming, or that it's not that melodic,
or the high pitched
singing, you still will like the drummer.
Yeah,
the drummer's still standing out in the background, going crazy.
Yeah,
I think the music. Another area that the music for me made it difficult to watch is that it is absolutely frantic. The whole film and the music is set at a high BPM.
Yes,
and it is relentless.
We never get a
breather.
What's it called? And what is it? Climb every mountain, sea, whatever. From Sound of Music, you get that slow song.
Right.
You get Yesterday off of this. You get these slow songs every now and then. Yeah, you never get a slow song off of this one ever. So my ears by the end of it were I could just hear just a lot of songs that kind of sounded pretty much the same at the end. But I will say, the music in the movie, in my opinion, is much worse than the music off the real album.
Right.
The music on the real album sounds a lot better. It's mixed better. The instruments sound better. I mean, the mixing in the movie, when they're singing, I can barely hear them sometimes.
So we don't know.
The vocals were very low.
Right. We only have one film to compare it to, and that's the version that we got. But the version we got was sounded mono. Like, it didn't sound like stereo.
It's from the 60s.
It did not have any type of sound movement from left to right. The lyrics were on the album, on the iTunes album. The
They're
lyrics
mixed
are
well.
kind of louder than the music, but in
Yeah.
the movie, it's the lyrics are everything's one volume.
Yeah, well, it's not everything's one volume, but then the singer is about 20% like lower than everyone else.
Yeah.
It's weird. And then also we'll have no sound for the scene going on.
Yeah.
So if somebody hits a table or somebody slams through a door, or somebody, whatever, you're not going to hear that. You're only going to hear the music. So
Right.
whatever's happening in the scene, remember that birthday party scene?
Right.
All we heard was the music during that scene. We didn't hear anybody clapping,
Yeah.
yelling, talking in the background.
Yeah, that's another critique. I'll say that after I say the last thing about the music was the lack of guitar solo.
Where were the
The
solos?
lack of just
That was obviously a
of
choice.
stopping the drums for a second, letting just
They do it on other albums.
a
They get
guitar
solos.
play.
Yeah.
And I think that's the sign of the time that they made it. When they made it, I think they were making this probably in 67 or 68. They didn't have, Led Zeppelin.
Yeah.
They didn't have that to go, why don't we try this? Because all these musicians are influenced by each other.
Yeah.
And the music evolves together. And unfortunately, they didn't have the Black Sabbath album.
Yeah.
They didn't have Zeppelin. They didn't have, Rush. They didn't have any of that yet that was coming.
Yeah.
And then when you see like movies, evolve, you have like Pink Floyd, The Wall. I didn't realize how I always thought they created that out of nothing.
Yes.
Now I know that there was a prototype.
Man, so now so we went over what we liked about it. We went over what we didn't like about
Yeah.
it. Now let's go over and give it its props for all the stuff it did first.
But before you do, I just wanted to say about, because you mentioned the Foley. So that to me was a very difficult portion of the movie, which is they deleted all sound.
Yeah.
You didn't hear a chair scrape on the floor. You didn't hear a door
Never.
slam. You didn't hear someone laughing or coughing. When there was no dialogue to move a scene to another scene, there was no actual acting. There was no birds. There was nothing. There was what they call Foley in films. There was no background noise at all. And for me, I think that was a big miss. And I'm surprised they did that when you see that Hollywood has a big, rich musical background all the way back to The Wizard of Oz. You see them, they act, they talk, they move through, and then they sing. And then they act, they talk, and then they move through, and then they sing. And this film
that's true.
just said, you know what? We're just going to just lay down the album only. But we're going to have the actors sing, which was really weird.
Is this the first movie where they sing the entire movie? Because there's movies that's done it after this, but is this the first one to sing the entire movie?
I think so.
They never talk.
I think so. Name a movie in here if you like movie reviews and music. Is there another film where they never say a word? I mean, in Pink Floyd, they don't say a lot of words.
I can think in Less Miserable, they never talk in that movie. They sing the entire movie. But that came out in 11. So that's way after this.
When they had to learn from all these other movies, which let's go back to what your props were. What this movie laid down as a foundation.
Yes. Well, before we get to that, also I have one more thing to say.
Yeah.
Which is and I forgot it, but it was about
sound effects. We were talking about the sound effects and the other films and the musicals in the back before it.
It was I guess we'll go back to it. But yes, let's talk about its props. So right now, I would say Pink Floyd, yes, we like that movie. The Wall, we like that movie. We love that album.
Sure.
But it definitely copies from this. I mean, there's no doubt about it. The father goes off to war. I mean,
and dies,
and he's left with his
Impacts
mom.
the child.
He's left with his mom. He grows up. It's very similar to Tommy, but I think the Wall.
Right.
Of course, I think the Wall does it better. But they obviously took the blueprint. I mean, literally took the blueprint.
Right.
And kind of did it again.
And they had the benefit of looking at Tommy and saying what they didn't want to do.
Yeah.
So they could look back and say, I don't want to have so many characters. Like they didn't have that many characters. I don't want to
sing the entire movie. Maybe throw animation in there.
Right. And Pink Floyd had already figured out how to do instrumentals with full instrumental song. That's something that Tommy doesn't have. Almost every song
It's
has lyrics.
riddled with lyrics.
Riddled is a good way to describe it, bro. It is like a book
It's-
of. It's like Edgar Allan Poe in an album.
Yeah.
It's that many words. It's a lot of
It's
words.
like he's singing a poem, and not all poems rhyme. So he's like he's singing a poem that doesn't rhyme.
Yeah.
He's just singing it, kind of like
yeah.
I don't know. The cadence just is not as good as like their later stuff. But
I did like they had some like what we would call today Easter eggs. They did have some things like the pinballs were being put into bombs to kill soldiers, and then later pinball was his talent, and then later they were put on your eyes to blind you, and then later they were these gigantic things. I mean, dude, the film is incredibly layered.
it is.
It
but,
is,
but
it's also
just,
very confusing.
It's extremely. That's what I was gonna say too. Is that it is very hard to understand, and by halfway through the movie, I was lost. And
Right.
so half an hour in, I was like, okay, I still get what's going on. The first half hour, I'd say, tells the story in a very chronological and understandable way.
Yeah.
Would you agree?
Yeah, That's
Yeah.
what I said. I think
Yeah.
the first 30 minutes is the strongest. That's what I would say. This movie has a lot of film issues, like storytelling film issues.
I would say after the half hour, I'd say it starts kind of changing up and just kind of gets really confusing. Like I didn't understand the Marilyn Monroe scene. I mean,
Right.
I did, but like not fully. Also, I mean, of course the Elton John. I mean, I understood that too, but it's weird. It's
It was
just
well,
weird.
it was weird because here's why. Because in the 70s, there's two type of 70s film. There's a 70s film that you watch it, like let's say Buck Rogers. You never saw it, but it was a space movie. And when you watch Buck Rogers in the 21st century, they got 70s hairstyles and bell bottoms, and it feels like a sci-fi movie with 70s costumes. But then you watch Star Wars, and they take so much of the 70s out, and they instead put in a fashion that would fit a different universe. And so now it's timeless. And the thing about Tommy is it is stamped with the 70s.
I mean, it's literally
pinball
it's
machines.
about pinballs and
Right.
and how he's kind of worshipped for how good he is at pinball.
That is
and
that
so
is your
pinball
symbol.
is obviously
Right.
no one plays pinball anymore.
And I can get you could try to say
you go to
look,
Dave and Buster's, you're gonna see a pinball machine there.
Yeah,
no, you're not.
You could try to say life is a game, right? It's just a game, and pinball is a metaphor for the game that you played, and you can get so good at it, people worship you.
You get knocked around.
You could try, you get knocked around. You know, it's very random, but you got to keep flipping or something, right?
get hit.
You could do that,
Yeah.
But then use the wall for a minute. That's a better symbol. The
Yeah,
wall
that's true.
that as you're afflicted by life, that you build a wall between you and life, and eventually you wall yourself into a prison.
And
That's beautiful.
no need
That's
to
timeless.
mention the music on the wall. I mean, come on.
Sure.
It's night and day.
But they had in their favor the wall. They had in their favor, like if they had written Tommy in 78 instead of 68, it would be a way better musical album.
It probably would. And if the wall was written in 69,
Oh,
it would have been rough.
It would have been terrible.
It would have been awful.
If they would have written it before
The 69 version of Pink Floyd made the
Yes. Oh, yeah. So that's the big difference between, I personally, I don't see how you can do a retrospective review of Tommy and not bring up the wall. And we waited a while in this review to do it because
wall. Well, there's a lot of
It's the
things that
elephant in the
copy
room.
from Tommy as well, not just the wall. I mean,
Yeah.
any concept albums, there's a lot of things that are being copied from it. And it's like a 24 song album. I mean, that's massive for 69.
yeah.
That's huge. So while it wasn't the first concept album, it's one of the first.
Well, it's a must see. If you're into music and you're into movies, you have to see
It's a
Tommy.
classic.
It's like it's a prerequisite, for understanding other films. But I think the film, the areas of the film that I would critique are, it's in daylight a lot. A lot of the film is just in regular lighting.
Yeah.
There's not a lot of mood. There's not a lot of really good. They got sets, but they don't light them very well. There's not a lot
sometimes instead of showing such weird subliminal messaging and just things you got to really read into, every once in a while you got to be straightforward with the audience. The whole movie can't be a riddle and a mystery.
Well, and also it doesn't always have to be told quickly. Like, for example, they were showing a lot of stuff so fast, but like with Pink Floyd, that awesome scene where he's sitting there with his cigarette and it's long, burnt, and the ashes, you could tell he's been sitting there for like 2 hours or something. And they just slowly push in with the camera. And it tells the entire story. In this movie, they never push in with the camera. There's never any slow moment.
Yeah.
And there's not a
they
lot
needed
of...
that. They needed that moment of like, what's that one song? Goodbye Blue Sky?
Yeah.
The dun 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 dun
Yeah.
dun. What's that one? Is it Goodbye Blue Sky?
Goodbye Blue
The one with
Sky.
that big black hawk in the sky.
Dun, dun,
Yeah.
dun.
I need a dark
Yeah.
scene like that in Tommy. Like, I don't think Tommy really got that dark. Like,
They tried with the Uncle
memorable
Earl and stuff, but it
dark
just
scene.
did, like I said, it's like it just didn't quite get there. But another thing with the filmmaking is there's not a lot of good smooth dolly shots. There's not a lot of good, zoom in or zoom out shots.
The couple shots
and a lot
were-
of it is shaking,
a
man.
couple
I got
shots-
really motion sick. Remember that?
Yeah,
By the
yeah.
end of the film, I was really motion sick. It's a lot of hand holding the camera,
Yeah, and there's not
and
a
some
lot
of it's out of
um,
focus.
It is out of focus, and it's just it's shaky. It looks like it's just not lined up properly.
Right.
It's shaking. I remember one of the first scenes, like it was like they had to like
Oh, like during it, they like correct it.
yeah, they
like,
corrected it
moment.
during the shot. So
And right. Like this. I guess what we would be saying is they lacked a really strong cinematographer, someone who could think in a
but
photographic
at the
way.
same time, it was very cinematic because at the pinball at the end, you got those great shots of all those pinballs, that huge
Right.
set. You got the really nice shots of him in that machine with Tina Turner. So at the same
Yeah,
time,
yeah.
there are great shots.
It's
in
really
it as
a mixed
well.
bag, isn't it?
It is. It's
It
very,
is.
very much so is.
It really is. It's hard. It's a hard film to critique
It is.
because they get so much grace because they were the first to try something like that, to try a rock album, and that they probably didn't have the biggest budget, I would think, and they probably didn't have the best, crew, the best cameraman, the best everything. Like, you might say Grease, had.
Yeah.
Came out the same era too. And what a difference in cinematography and filmmaking.
Yeah.
But I'm glad we saw it. I can see why music reactors
But-
aren't reacting or
Yeah.
are being asked to react to the Tommy, the music itself. Like I said, for this film to come out in 75, but the music album to have come out in 69, meaning that the music was being made earlier, to me, I think it's when people are like, man, that's a 70s movie, you tell us, do you think that's a 70s album?
Oh no, it was made in '69.
Yeah.
But the movie's definitely a '70s movie.
Oh, all the fashion and clothing. Oh, we didn't mention Sally. That's the song you hated. That one song about the girl. I really like that song. I bet a lot of people
To
like that.
be what you'll be.
Is that it?
That's it. That's the song.
Are you sure that's the song?
Yeah, that's Sally.
The one where she gets a scar on her face and stuff.
Yeah.
That was a memorable
liked-
scene.
I liked the
that
song.
sequence.
I like the song "Go to the Mirror" and of course Pinball Wizard's good, and there was one other. Oh, Sensation. I'm a sensation. That's a good song. I'm a sensation.
That's an earworm one there. That one you don't forget.
Yeah,
easy.
that one was good too. So there's a couple songs I liked, and like I said, I think the music in the movie was mixed bad, and had kind of bad instrumentals. Like the actual music didn't sound that great, and the singing was just kind of weird.
And to be honest,
But-
if you're doing a musical film,
but I
the
think
music
that
has to be mixed well. That's
Yeah,
that's almost
yeah.
unforgivable.
But I think the music on the album sounds much better. I
Yeah,
wish
yeah.
they just would have used some of the music straight from the album,
Right.
instead of using the actors singing the songs.
One of the questions I had is I was like, man, they seemed like they were able to do anything they wanted to throughout the entire film. I was wondering, what did they cut?
I was wondering that too when
What
you said
imagery
that.
did they not put in there? I was like,
I can't
imagine
think
what
of
that would have
anything.
been.
Yeah, like imagine they had. It seems like they were able to do whatever they wanted because there was not one scene that was bland. There wasn't one scene that was boring.
It
I
doesn't
mean,
seem like
every
it
single
was,
scene had something crazy happening.
and it doesn't seem like it was edited. It doesn't seem, what I mean is, it doesn't seem like somebody said, you know, I don't know, do you really think we should do that? Like, it doesn't seem like anyone held back. They were just like, whatever you said, I want a torture device that closes them up. I want, you know, pins in their ears and in their eyes, and I want Marilyn Monroe statues. And they were like, yeah, what else?
They
There's
did it all.
I haven't heard anything I'd say no to yet.
Yeah, they did it all.
Yeah.
I can't think of nothing that they were like, the studio or whoever was like, our budget's too low. They won't let us do that.
Yeah.
Nah, it seemed like they were able to do whatever they wanted because it was so wild and crazy.
Yeah, and I think some of it's lost on an American audience because we don't use the word holiday or go to holiday camp. There were some things in there that are you know, for us that you don't, you know, like, well, I relate to going to that holiday camp every year.
Yeah.
But I don't. Okay, I guess we didn't do that. You know.
Yeah. Yeah, that's true. And in The Wall, they didn't set it in England or anything like that. They set it in almost like a World War II German type of, you know what I'm trying to say, type of time period. So it was kind of like you know, we all learned about that. You know, we all know about that. So I don't know, but overall, I would say Tommy is a very interesting movie.
Yeah.
Very interesting album, classic album, and I would say the movie set the ground, like the you know, the layout for a lot of things to come, not just in music but also in movies.
And if it wouldn't have been a success, if it would have been a failure, we wouldn't have got The Wall. And I was gonna say about its success. Apparently, it was hugely successful. It ended up like it was a giant album. It was apparently it was a successful film. Ended up being a big play. But in my lifetime, the only thing I ever heard was Pinball Wizard on the radio. And I have had HBO since the beginning, way back when HBO would go off at midnight. It came on at 6 o'clock at night and it went off at midnight. That's how far back I go with HBO. And I have never seen Tommy play on any cable channel ever. And all those VHS rental places we used to go to, I never saw Tommy there. Tommy was absolutely hidden and lost to me until we did our channel. But apparently it was big. Did anybody else have that happen to them where they were just like, where was that at? Why wasn't that ever around?
I feel like Quadrophenia should have got a movie, honestly. Give a movie all to that. It
does. I don't know if it does. It doesn't.
I
thought it did.
I don't know.
I think it does have one, dude. Because when I looked up the
I would
Tommy
say
stuff
it
after
deserves
this,
one more than Tommy because its music is much better. And it's a concept album.
I looked up Tommy some stuff on it afterwards just to get a better understanding of how and why it was made. And when I looked it up, it was I saw some Quadrophenia stuff. It's a motorcycle type of movie.
If Quadrophenia's got a movie, then I want to watch that because I feel like it would be better than.
And was it made
Tommy.
before or after?
Quadrophenia's made after Tommy.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, well, the film would be made after. Yeah, then.
Yeah, well.
Yeah, that means it's gonna be better.
Yeah.
Do they talk?
Does
anybody have any lines in it?
I don't know.
If there's all right, everybody, if there's a Quadrophenia movie and it's worth seeing, let us know. What did you like about this? What did you not like? How did it hit you at a young age? Were you like me and you never even heard of it till way, way later? And what are some things that you thought about it? Because we like to hear your thoughts on it as well.
Yeah,
for sure.
Put it in the comments section about what you thought about the movie. You know. So yeah, I guess we'll see you guys in the next video. That was our Tommy review. Hope you guys enjoyed and. Comment what else we should review in terms of movies. Go ahead and comment that down below. Any suggestions, we'll definitely read through them.
More obscure the better in some ways.
Yeah, anything you guys want us to review.
Yeah.
So yeah, we're going to see you guys in the next video, and we're out. Peace.